Are you sabotaging your salon by having a front desk? We're going to cover that and a ton more all on today's show. Join us. Salon owners are some of the most amazing people on planet Earth. The only problem is sometimes their hearts are so big and they give so much of themselves to their staff and guests that it creates unintended consequences. Our goal is to change the industry by elevating the way the rest of the world sees salons, spas, and barbershops and give it the credibility that it truly deserves. This is the Salon Owner Evo Revo Show. Today's podcast is brought to you by Salon Scale, allowing you to charge by what you know, not by what you feel. So this is it. We're going to talk about it today, Doug, because there's so many people talking about, like, is the front desk even necessary anymore? Do you need to have a front desk? Should we just put a little kiosk up there and greet people? Like, dude, there are so many things out there that are messing with front desk, and we want to talk about them today. If you haven't met me, my name is Jason Everett, and with me is my partner in crime, Mr. Doug Campbell. What's up, Doug? Good to see you.
Doing good. If you hear some squeaks on today's podcast, I just want to say my chair. I'm a rockaholic, so the chair is now created with squeaks. So if there's a little bit of a squeak, I apologize for it. But my brain works better if I rock, so I may be rocking. There may be some squeaks. I apologize for that ahead of time.
Doug, you have completely earned the term rock star in a totally different way than anybody else on planet Earth. That's how I look at it. So if we hear the we know what's going on. It's Doug getting his little rock on. Anyway, and by the way, the more intense Doug gets, the quicker the rocking gets, so just be aware. So here's the thing, man. We're talking front desk, and I think, Doug, you've seen a lot with front desks, right? And by the way, if you have a front desk, do me a favor and say front desk in the chat. We've seen a lot of people that are trying to kind of like get rid of a lot of the things. And by the way, I mean, this whole show, we've been calling for almost 100 episodes now, the Salon Owner Evo Revo Show, which, by the way, we're working on a change and a tweak to what's going on for the show. So stick around. And then at episode number 100, we got some big news for you. So pay attention. But we're all about, revolutionizing the industry and changing the industry and like making it bigger and making it better. And I think a lot of people go about change, Doug, in a way that says, I just want to get rid of or blow up the previous ideas and like, let's do away with the front desk. Maybe that's an antiquated idea because I can put an iPad, right? I just throw an iPad up at the front desk. It's like a little check-in. They just click their little button and then ta-da, they can check in. I'm meeting here with Susie. And you know what? There's plenty of businesses that do that now where you walk up and there's just a kiosk to greet you instead of a person. But I think that there are some things at this front desk by just even calling it the front desk that are sabotaging your business you might not be aware of. And Doug, you've been on this. This is a hot topic that came up months and months and months ago in the academy. Do you want to frame up what we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that people want to go to kiosk thing because obviously, front desk costs to get
cheaper.
Cheaper. Yeah, you save a lot of payroll, all that. I mean, I get it, but I think that's wrong thinking in my mind.
Why is it wrong? Because I think in different settings, and I think this is it, right? It's like, hey, the grocery store is going to self-checkouts and all these other things. Like, where can we maximize a buck? And if you're like, well, if I don't have to pay a front desk person, man, I'm going to make some money. I mean, there might be certain situation where it works out, but why do you think it needs to stay?
Well, because I think you got to look at, like I said, I totally understand how do I cut costs, especially with rising labor and all that stuff. Yeah, I totally get it. That's why you got to be careful about knee-jerk reactions. Let's go. Our software offers a kiosk version. Let's go to the kiosk. Well, I think a couple of things happen that aren't the unintended consequences of that move when you may easily convince yourself that, I'm being modern, I'm being techie, I'm being all these things. But the problem is the customer service that a kiosk gives is poor. People don't get the warm and fuzzies. It's very cold. It's not a great experience. It's one.
Right.
The other thing I say, let's rethink the front desk, and I'm against calling it the front desk anymore. What we now call it is the sales desk.
There you go.
Because now then the sales desk can generate more revenue for me. A kiosk,
and that will justify the pay for that desk to be in place, and you don't have to worry about, because I think people screw this up a lot. They try to save $1 in an area that can generate cash for them. Right.
And
it's like, don't skimp on the things that earn you money.
Right. It's a huge opportunity. Because your profit margin is higher on retail than anything else that you're doing inside of your salon. And so you need someone actively being. So a couple of things happen. one, the end of the day pay for what you're paying people at your sales desk can be higher because they can earn commissions on their sales.
Awesome.
So now then you're attracting a higher caliber person than what you were hiring. You're now not only covering what you're from, but you're actually making money off the sales desk area. It's like you just gotta it's a mindset thing, because the type of person that you're going to hire when you call it a sales desk is going to be totally different than the type of person you're going to hire when you call it a front desk. For you, just for you, just in your mind, when you're looking for a sales desk position, it's totally different than your front desk. You're going to think, I need somebody that's like, I need a receptionist.
I need somebody to answer the phone, a receptionist. And I think
answer the phone and do laundry.
A greeter, right? It's a greeter. Like, you don't need a Walmart greeter at the front of your salon. Like, that's not what you need, a friendly, nice person. So, and this is real. I mean, you can have a friendly, nice person, but I just don't mean that's not the only criteria, is that they're friendly and nice, right? They should be able to do this. And, you know, Doug, I worked in my family business for years and years. You know, my family runs a furniture and gift shop. And when I grew up, you know, when I was probably 12, 13, 14, I worked there, but we were always called like a sales clerk. Like, it was like a sale, like your job was to sell the product that was around and help people find things to buy at that business. And it was like, yes, part of it was to run the desk. The other part of it was to greet people, but your job was to make sure people left buying things, and not by being some sleazy salesperson at the front desk, just showing them the cool stuff that was around and like taking them around the store and be like, oh, have you seen, we got some new stuff over here. We have some new things over here. And like, my job was to be friendly as hell, talk to people, get to know them, and make sure they go in the right direction. I think as an industry, as a salon and spa industry, to your point, even just calling it a front desk, I think diminishes and demeans what that job is set up and there to do. And it reduces it down to a kiosk, right? It's like just that idea of like, let's just put an iPad in and let's do it. And you become like, if any of you guys have ever flown on Spirit Airlines, can we just talk about this? Do me a favor and say hashtag not a fan of Spirit. I am not a fan of Spirit Airlines. The only time I did it, my assistant booked a flight, an old assistant, booked a flight. And we went on Spirit Airlines. I'm like, wow, this is really an inexpensive flight for me to go on. And I had no clue what I was in for. And I go up to the counter and it's like, would you like to recline your seat? That'll be an extra $25. Would you like to have a pad on your seat? That'll be another $25. Would you like to bring a carry-on with you? And I'm like, what the hell? Like, never in my life have I experienced that. And the kiosk, when you get to it, has like 200 upgrades. Okay, that's an exaggeration. Maybe like 5 upgrades, 10 upgrades. Because you're like, hey, I know, Doug, instead of having to hound my front desk to tell them over and over again that I want them to sell more retail, maybe I'll just put in a kiosk and it'll say, what retail products do you want to buy today? Problem solved. The robot will ask the question for me instead of my front desk person. I never have to like train anybody or do anything or whatever again. Well, maybe. I just, what I have found in my experience in working, and by the way, I'm going to say this. We're talking to you about how do you run a experience-driven, high-caliber customer service salon. If you have a high-caliber customer service in a salon, now don't get me wrong, if you run a salon and spa, and in the back you have those water massage tables in the back, and like you've got a whole bunch of automated systems up there, and they walk in, and they're going to have a kiosk experience or a check-in, they never deal with any staff to interact with it, maybe you don't need a sales desk. Maybe you don't. Maybe that's part of your whole motif and your whole experience. But if they're going to go back and have a really in-depth customer experience with a massage therapist, with a stylist, with an esthetician, with whomever, and you don't start it with a high-end customer experience, remember, their experience starts the second they walk through the door. And I think one of the biggest problems is that in the salon and spa industry, people are so afraid of the word sales and being considered salesy that they just run from anything. And so they'll do whatever it takes to not be considered salesy, including the sales desk. But in our academy, and Doug, this has been the number one adopted thing that we've done that has massively increased retail sales, massively increased the amount of upsells, cross department, is by just changing the name to sales desk. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what are the things you do from a training perspective, what are the things you do from a hiring perspective, and how do you make sure the sales desk really turns into a sales desk, all right after the short break. We'll be right back.
Hey, HPSA listeners, let me ask you this. Are you tired of not knowing what your hair color is costing you on every appointment and watching it chew up your profit? Well, with Salon Scale, we take the guesswork out for you. Using a mobile app paired with a Bluetooth scale, Salon Scale will tell you exactly what your color is costing you on every bowl mix down to the gram. As you mix, Salon Scale will also digitally store your formulas and track how much product is being used in real time, so you can manage your inventory, cover your expenses, and generate more profit in your salon. Use promo code HPSA10 to get 10% off an annual subscription. Salon Scale, the new standard for mixing color.
Hey guys, we're talking about, are you sabotaging your salon by having a front desk? And what we were talking about just recently was that getting rid of the front desk is dangerous, because even though you might think it serves a benefit to you because it's good for the salon, like it's cheaper for the salon, it doesn't meet our criteria of 3. And we'll talk about this, is that our criteria of 3 that Doug and I talk about for anything you need to run in your salon, it's got to be good for the salon, it's got to be good for the staff, and it's got to be good for the guest. Right? So Doug, let's talk about that. In getting rid of the front desk, that's no bueno. We'll talk about how that doesn't match. And then we'll also talk about how calling the front desk the sales desk is actually good for the salon, good for the stylist, and good for the guest by just making that change. Let's talk about it. Why is putting a kiosk up front not good to our rule of 3?
Well, because one, I think it breaks down some of the communication part. I mean, if someone's got a question or the kiosk can't answer, so I say it's a very cold experience. It's like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like kiosks. I think checking out the grocery store and it's Sam's and cost that works because that's convenient. It's quicker. I mean, and if you have a problem, someone can come over. But I mean, in general, it's like they're not increasing.
That's a play though, Doug, for mass. That's a play for handling mass. Right?
They're not.
There's 25 lines. They're trying to solve the problem of there's too many people in line, and can one person do the job of 6? That's the problem they're trying to solve. You're talking about trying to solve the problem of, can one person just not be there? That's a very different problem to solve.
Right. And even if you had a person floating around or whatever, I mean, I think it's say, look, I'm all for automation. Everything that you can automate, confirmations, the
check-in,
process,
getting your reviews done, do that through an automated system.
There's
for sure.
a lot of things that because there again, I want to free my sales desk up to sell. I don't want so as many things as I can rely on my software to do automatically. Fantastic, but I want it to be a personal thing, because then my client feels like they're being heard, they're being taken care of, they're getting their concerns taken care of. The sales desk is working with the old habits.
I know, right? They die hard.
The sales desk is working with the service provider to make sure that the communication is right. So if the client used something and it wasn't working or whatever, they can go check in with the service provider. So now then the service provider actually has someone working for them. Right. And it's helping them increase their sales. And we've got a whole formula of how that works, because I am sure that we have triggered more than one person today going, my staff, when you're going to pay the front desk to sell stuff, my staff is going to freak out. My service providers are going to lose their mind. When we introduced it inside the academy, people said,
got tweaky.
As long as you design it as a symbiotic process where everybody wins. Like I said, the client wins, the sales desk wins, because they now have control over their income. They can increase their paycheck.
That's a big win for the staff, for sure.
The better way they show up. The service provider wins because now their client's happier because they're getting so right, and their income is going up. And like I said, all those things need to work together. We talk about a lot inside of the academy of how in this industry, there's a lot of doing. Owners do a lot of doing, and they need to get more into design. To design what's going. So this requires some designing, but I'm telling you, it's going to unlock a very profitable part of your business. Don't run away from it. It's like I did this other thing. It's like I want to step back and take a deep breath on some of this. It's like we're not even going to carry retail anymore. We're going to have where it's all an online store. So we're just going to point people to our online store. And it's like, don't do that. People want to come in. They want to hold it. They want to touch it. They want to be served.
They want to see what it's like.
Right. And that's the experience that you're trying to give them. They want that immediately. Not they have to go on and click it somewhere. I mean, I even had one of the distributors talk to us about that. They wanted to go to where your retail shelves became a virtual retail shelf, where you just pushed the buttons of what you wanted and it would get shipped to your house. And it's like,
well, can I just say, Doug, on that, as soon as you do that, you go in direct competition. Instead of with the salon down the street, you go in direct competition with Amazon, and you're gonna lose. Like you're gonna lose. Like, let me just be super clear. You think you're competing with Amazon now, you compete with Amazon and say, we can digitally ship too. And they're like, Amazon gets it to me overnight. You get it to me next day. And you're like, F you. And you're like, oh, Amazon can deliver with drones. Okay, like you're screwed. So unless you are that physical product, unless you're the physical product there to be like, you can leave with it now, that is your only shot at making a go at this.
Right.
Like,
that you've had a better service, that you heard what they said, you're able to talk it through. They can't talk to a computer screen and all that stuff. It's a convenience play on that side. So we need to go into the service play that we're serving them at a higher level. This whole thing about, sales seeming icky and all that stuff. It's like, look, they're coming to you for a reason. They want to look and feel better. And so your obligation is to help them do that with not only the services that you're providing, but with the product that you're prescribing.
Quality of service.
Right. So you're saying, is this working? Is this not working for you? Or have you looked at this? And people are going to feel very good about that. But you've got to design. You got to play in your lane and play your game really, really well. Quit trying to get into trying to shortcut some of these things, because it's online stores. You got to be careful that you can't. But most of the time, people don't figure in their margins. They don't figure in what the shipping cost is doing to them. They don't figure in, where do you get to the point where it ships free? What is that doing? They don't really break the numbers down.
Or this is the one I've seen, and this happens over and over again. I see it all the time. Is that as soon as they do online ordering, they remove the commission from the stylist, and they use the commission from the stylist to pay for the online ordering system. And again, it fails the rule of three. That's good for the client because it can ship to them. It's good for the business because you can use online ordering, but the stylist was now left out. So now they're not recommending product anymore. And I think it's kind of funny. It's like, even as I'm hearing myself say this, Doug, I kind of feel like I'm a little old school here. It's like, damn those kiosks. Like, I feel like to a certain extent that's happening. But I think I'm not saying the kiosks are bad. And maybe if you have a kiosk, like, hey, we can have online ordering. Like, not only do we have all these products here, we have access to a library of thousands of products we can either have for you next time, ship directly to your house. Like, I think some of those things are good. I absolutely think those are good. And even be able to get text reminders to be like, hey, do you want us to have product for you waiting the next time you're here? Would you like to auto ship? I think there's ways to use that online product to be there, but don't just use technology for technology's sake. Look, I'm the first one to say I run circles around tons of people on my tech. I teach people tech every single day. It's very rare that we hire somebody on this team that can out-tech me on tech, okay? But the idea is, if you use tech in the wrong direction, right, that will mess you up. If you're just using it for tech's sake because you want to seem cool, there's a lot of things that like magazines will pick up or news articles are like, they've removed their front desk. Look at how in the future they are, right? Like, I think you just got to be aware is that those are not good scenarios. And Doug, like you said, I think there is the trigger for people, and they probably stopped listening to this podcast already if they were triggered by sales so much. They probably were like, screw you, Doug and Jason. You've now lost my respect from talking sales desk. How dare you, right? But if you've been around us a hot minute, occasionally we give you things that make you a lot of money, so hopefully you stuck around. When you go into a level of service-based sales, meaning as long as what you sell, you maintain integrity and it is of greater service to the client or customer that's in front of you, you will maintain a very powerful relationship with that guest. Is if your intention is to serve them, your intention is not to just sell them at all costs. And we just ran an ad. We got an ad out right now for some sales team for our company. I said, if you hate sick, gross, like sleazy sales tactics and all these like close at all costs, you're not going to like working here. That's not us. Like, that's not our jam, right? Like, Doug and I are big on like, if it will serve you to buy something from us, let's do it. If it will just be something that we can make a buck on, don't care. It's got to serve you, it's got to serve us, and it's got to serve your team. Period. That's the only way it works. Everything we do, whether it's our academy, whether it's our programs, whether it's our board game, like, it's got to serve the client and whoever the end product user is better than anything else. Then a sale can be made. But I think this idea of calling it a sales desk and you kind of like having this artificial twitch, like as a salon owner, if you're like, I don't want to call it a sales desk because you're so focused on it, well, just make sure, and you don't want to call it necessarily a service desk. You want to call it a sales desk because, and let's talk about this. Why would that change recruitment? why would it change training, Doug? Let's talk about that for a
Because
second.
it's there again. It's a mindset thing. So I can't tell you how many people have it when they call in the front desk. I just can't seem to get my front desk to close sales. I can't. They're frustrated. It's like, well, because you didn't hire them as a salesperson, so
Right.
you're
Somebody
kind
who's
of
even interested in that.
right, you're asking them to do something that they didn't think was part of their job. So now then with sales desk, I'm hiring you for the sales desk. It's in the title of your job. So you being expected to sell is not a weird concept. But right
Right.
now it is on their side. Right now it is. You hired them as front desk because like, well, you hired them
Yeah.
as front desk. Now
Or
you
you,
want me
you
to
might
sell.
you might even say something like, "Are you willing to try selling something?" And they're
Right.
like, "Sure, I'm willing to try." But you didn't hire a salesperson.
You hire them with proper incentives in the proper places, and so now you got someone that okay, so now then they're incentivized to learn about the products that you offer and what you have to sell. Because if you don't know what you're selling, it becomes very difficult to sell it. You can't give people the right thing if you don't know what your tools are. I think
100%.
that part, and then I think so. Then part of your training for that position, now a large part of that is sales. Where
Yeah.
they again, if you
It's
hire them,
how do you handle objections? What do you like? What's an if this then that close? Like what's a feature? What's a benefit? Like all of the training is different. I used to do a lot of training with Massage Envy because they sell memberships at their front desk, and they do call them sales associates. They're called SAs. The SAs at the front desk. They call them sales associates. So when you're hired, it's clear you are a sales associate at the front desk of a Massage Envy. And I worked with Massage Envy. I helped them increase sales by in 6 months by $2.6 million in 6 months by working with their front sales desks to close more membership sales. And we did specific sales training for them at the front desk. They know they're hired. They work on sales scripts. They do all those things to be able to do it. And again, they also, do they answer the phones? Yes. But they know that when they answer the phones, their job is to book somebody for a call. Like it's a role in their sales process is answering the phones, not just I am a receptionist that sometimes sells things. And so when you do things like that and you change it, it makes a massive difference. The best massage envy I ever worked with, they actually had a person who had been in, I think it was insurance sales, be their front desk like sales manager at their front desk. So this person, and they paid them very, very well. Can you imagine paying your front desk person, get ready for this, over $100,000 a year for their front desk manager inside this one massage envy? You might go, Jason, like how is that even possible? So let me ask you this. If that person could generate 200 grand in new revenue for you a year based on how they performed at the front desk, would you be okay paying them $100,000 of that back? Would you be okay? But the problem is you're trying to figure out what minimum wage person can you put at the front desk and how can you get them cheaper so they don't cost your business a lot more money, instead of how do I have my front desk person be actually one of the highest paid people, even at the level of like a level 4 stylist? How do I get my front desk team to be paid just as well as my stylist and that be a prestigious job that's not the cycle through job that like somebody had while they were in beauty school until they could be a stylist? That is a totally different function for the front desk. If you guys are getting that this is different, can you do me a favor and type in the chat different? Or if you're struggling with it, do me a favor and type in struggling, because this is not an easy concept. Is it simple? Yes. Is it easy to implement? No. Right. What else would change about training, Doug?
we done a lot of work to help people, work through what the process is inside the academy, because it does take some effort to get through it. But there again, we also have in the mastermind, the way that we do the academy, the mastermind version is that all the good ideas bubble up and come with each other. And it's like that's why I always say, if you're not part of some kind of group, you need to become part of a group. Rather it's us, we would love to have you. The door's wide open. We want to change this industry, change the world, the way the world sees this industry. Love to have you be a part of that. But if not us, somebody. You need to find somebody to connect
for sure.
Because otherwise it's tough. It's tough out there on the island by yourself and trying to come up with this stuff, because you will tell yourself a lot of things that just aren't true. And the other thing in a non-structured situation, if you're just in a forum or something like that, that probably trends towards the negative and doesn't.
And like an uncurated forum, or like somebody's like, you have 4 people, they're like, hey, we're 4 salon owners, we hang out a couple times a year. It can get a lot more of a bitch session than it can be productive. So make sure you have a curated group for sure. So going back to this idea around, what would training be like? How would you train somebody if you knew their goal was to make more sales or to serve better? How would you compensate them differently? What would their schedule look? Would you have check-ins? Would they have their own thing? And most of you, if you're a salon owner, have probably not worked inside of a sales organization. You have a negative idea around sales. But man, oh man, can I just tell you, there are literally thousands and thousands of dollars every single month that are walking out the door of your salon because you don't have the opportunity to have your team trained up on how to ask. There are, whether it's a boutique, whether it's other retail items, whether other things exist. Do you guys know that when billionaires come into businesses and they like take over a business, the first thing they do is like, look, what are my opportunities to upsell, cross-sell, get other things done? Like they look for, how do I raise my average ticket? And it's not just by add-on services. They look, how do I raise the average ticket by utilizing that sales desk? Because the sales desk can add on another $10, $15, or $40 to the ticket just because, or more. We have some salons, and if you guys don't believe me, man, come and hang out with her. She's one of our trainers and coaches inside the academy. She does incredible. She sometimes averages 40 to 60% retail of the ticket from the front desk because of what they sell inside of their salon. And they are very clear that there's a sales role at that front desk, and they call it a sales desk, right? And that their job is to make sure people leave with more product. We have people who are even estheticians. This is always a good one over at, I can't remember the salon name right now, but Judy's Salon. I was just trying to think of it for just a second.
Actually, nail tech. She's nail tech.
Judy has a nail tech over there who regularly sells like 30% retail as a nail tech. That's what always blows my mind, right? Mm-hmm. And people are like, how does a nail tech sell that retail? I'm like, she has these amazing little gift baskets that when people come and get their nails done, she's like, here's all your self-care before you go home. And she like puts it right in front of them and make sure they leave with everything they need to maintain their nails between appointments and visits and all that other stuff. And like, she sells higher retail than most of the stylists that I know. And I think it blows my mind is that if you're so hung up on this idea that retail can't be done at the front desk, or you get hung up on this other one of like, well, wait a second, if I compensate the front desk, how do I compensate the stylist? And like, that's going to cause a fist fight, which by the way, we had a big, long discussion about that. And we've continued to settle that out because there are the right ways and wrong ways to do it. So do me a favor, don't just call your team and say, by the way, we're now giving retail commission to the front desk and you guys are fighting. Don't do that. But get some support, get some help on it. And if you want to have a session to turn your front desk into a sales desk, do me a favor, send me a DM and say, I'd love to chat about sales desk, or just say sales desk. And I'll make sure that you guys get some information about how you can do that. We'll talk with you. We'll get you into some of our mastermind sessions, whatever needs to happen to do it, because it is one of the things that will probably make you another $100,000 next year, grow sales, and maybe net you another, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 if you do it correctly. That is if you're willing to play that game. So if you want more tips like that, do me a favor, subscribe to our podcast, check it out. Let us know other topics you want to discuss. Our job is to move you forward, but move you forward using the rule of 3. It's got to be good for the salon, it's got to be good for the stylist, and it's got to be good for the guest. Do me a favor and subscribe to our podcast. Check it out. Thanks, guys, for being here today. Appreciate you, as always. Thanks for joining us today. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Evo Revo podcast.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Salon Scale, allowing you to charge by what you know, not by what you feel.
Please subscribe, leave us a review, and you can always get more information, including show notes and the video episodes at evorevopodcast.com.